Hello, it's Ashton Lewis.
And I'm Daphne Lynn.
And you are listening to the
NDE WORLD Podcast.
Welcome to the NDE WORLD Podcast. I am your host, Ashton Lewis. In the studio with me, I have my lovely hostess, Miss Daphne Lynn. Hello, Miss Daphne. How are you?
Hello, Ashton. How are you?
Absolutely fantastic. Thank you for asking. And I'm, as always, excited about coming out and doing the podcast. And today we have a really wonderful soul, Mr. Laurence. And we had the opportunity to be able to do an interview with him recently. And, so I'm so looking forward to sharing that with everyone,
Yes, yes. He has an amazing story. He is a healer. From his accident, he had tuned into his spiritual gifts. So he's a healer and any energy worker.
Yes, amazing. And has so many things to talk about. And he's got some really cool contact information that, afterwards we'll share that with you, that you can go ahead and contact him for further information and things. So before we get started, don't forget to go to the website, nde.world, for more information on who we are and what we do. And don't forget, we've got tons of podcasts. We've got the bookstore. We've got videos, anything that is related to the near-death experience world or spiritual things or any kind of that extra supernatural cool phenomena stuff. You can find a lot there.
Yes, even the link to the Facebook page and group is there.
Absolutely. So go check out the Facebook stuff and join that. And the beauty of the Facebook group is we all get to interact with each other. So if you guys have any questions, we'll be glad to answer. If we can't answer them, we have plenty of people here who can. So
that's right. Yeah.
Yeah. So, well, without further ado, Miss Daphne, let's get it rolling.
Let's roll them.
All right, and let's do it. Well, before we begin our conversation here, or actually episode there, Mr. Laurence, let me, on behalf of NDE World Podcast, thank you so much for taking your time to share your story with us. On behalf of the listeners and all, I want to be the first to tell you we appreciate you taking the time to do that. So thank you so much, my man. We appreciate you.
You're welcome. Thanks for having me.
It's no worries. So, we're just going to let you just kind of do your thing. I know you've got experience in doing these kind of things, so there's no worries there. But whatever you think is relevant, if you want to go like back in time, pre-experience or during the experience, post-experience.
A build-up of.
Yeah, whatever you feel comfortable with, man. And we'll just kind of maybe jot some notes or something and
ask some
questions along the way. So, man, if you don't mind, we just whatever you feel most comfortable with.
Okay, sure, yeah. So, I guess to really understand my experience is that it did happen in 1976, and it was before cell phones, before the internet, before so many things, and which basically meant I had never heard of a near-death experience, or a lot of my experience about these things, or, exposure to it was on Star Trek, the original Star Trek series.
Wow, okay.
Yeah.
Wow. Awesome.
So when I had been living in Colorado, in the United States, in Longmont, Colorado, working in an upscale restaurant there. And my roommate, so I grew up, spent my youth in the northeast of the United States, just north of New York City. And my roommate in Colorado was a friend of mine who happened to move out to Colorado also, and then we connected. And we decided to drive back east, 1,800 miles, to visit our parents.
Wow.
Now, he had this great Datsun 280Z sports car, so it was a lot of fun. We drove all the way through, and we got to Rye Brook, New York in the morning. He dropped me off at my parents' house, and he went to his, to say hello to the parents and rest a little bit. And one of the things, like you're saying about only having phones on the wall, is I didn't speak to my parents very much. It was, my 20-year-old daughter, I speak to her a few times a week. When I was 20, I spoke to my parents once a week or every other week, So.
Yeah.
So he found out about a party that another friend of ours from high school was having, and we decided to go. I drove my mom's little Ford Bobcat, and he drove his cool 280Z there. It was a really great party, loud music, dancing. The place was crowded, drinking, smoking pot, which, back then was definitely illegal. And I came up with a plan because I kind of thought the girl having the party was kind of pretty and cute, and it was way too loud to talk to anyone at the party. So I came up with this plot that I would tell her that I was too high to drive, even though I didn't feel like I was, that I would leave my car there and come back the next day to pick it up. So I had my friend drive me back to my parents. When we were almost back there, I realized my sister needed to use my mom's car the next day for work. So I had my friend bring me back to the party.
Okay.
I remember going into the house, walking through the crowd to tell the young lady that I was going to take my car. I remember heading back toward the door, again, moving through a very crowded area. I don't actually remember leaving the house, but I remember walking up the pathway toward my car. The next thing I remember is I was out of my body in the white light, looking down at the car that was totally smashed. My body was leaning against a tree with my legs flat on the ground. My head was cracked open, blood. It was a total mess, and there was a police officer crouching over me. I saw this. It was dark down there, and it was like floating up above, off to the side. It was all white, and it didn't bother me at all. Seeing my head cracked open, everything just seemed fine. Behind me, even though I wasn't looking that way, I just knew it was there. There was a big circle of white with a full silhouette of a white being in there. And there was all these different shades of white radiating off of him. My experience was more feeling and kinesthetic. Sometimes people have asked me, did you have a body? It felt like I did, although in my vision of what I saw, I don't remember, I can't see my body like I do. If I think about it now, I know I can see my body, but it felt like I had a body. And I'm not sure how long it was. It wasn't just a few seconds, but it wasn't, like years or months or whatever, like some people say. And after a little bit of time, the being behind me said, you have to go back. Your father wants you to stay. I knew right at that moment the father he was talking about was God, not my physical father. So I went back into my body and came to 3 days later in the hospital.
Wow.
Even though I knew that happened, I didn't really know how to explain it in my mind. Like I said, I never heard of a near-death experience. And truly, most of my references for this were things from Star Trek, which actually happened to be pretty right on, which is kind of cool.
Yeah, things happen for a reason, my man. They really do.
Yeah, and I knew something changed in me. Again, I didn't know how to explain it. I was always kind of intuitive, but my intuition picked up. Something I noticed pretty soon after is when I would touch people, even shake someone's hand or something like that, my hands would start to become warm very quickly. Again, I would never have think of healing powers. Just was not in my vocabulary. And even if I did, it was just like, oh yeah, that's sci-fi. Like I would never really entertain that for myself. But some things happened where it became very obviously something was going on. One was I was walking with a friend of mine, and he kind of twisted his ankle, and I just kind of automatically reached and put my hand where because it was hurting. And he goes, whoa, I felt the heat in your hand, and it made my ankle feel better. Another one, I told someone, a friend of mine's father, his father, so my friend's grandfather, I was talking to the father, and he said his father was about to pass away. These are my next door neighbors that I'd known since I'm a little kid, and so I knew the father, the mother, the grandparents, and everything. And I said I would pray for him, and I did. And I still remember, because I was almost being sarcastic when I said I would pray for him. But I did pray, but I felt something happen. And I didn't know what it was, but I felt something, like energetically. And then I saw the father a few days later, and he even said, I think when you prayed, something happened. Because he said that day he got so much better. And it was like, whoa.
Wow.
It was pretty interesting that guy was even open to saying when I prayed, something happened. You know, it's kind of cool. So,
wow. Speaking of praying, with what you were experiencing through your out of body, through your near death experience, how does it relate to what your belief system was?
Right. Well, I was brought up in a Jewish family, and I went to Hebrew school, but I didn't really pay that much attention. The only things that really even caught my eye were some of the kind of magical things that happened in the Bible that are considered miracles. So it didn't seem that weird. And part of what happened, I met a teacher, and when he started to talk to me right away about Mary and Jesus. And when he said how open Mary was to God's love, it just, wow, that's what I felt in my near-death experience. Then he started to talk about Jesus, and I knew that being behind me was Jesus.
Wow.
So all of this stuff just seemed okay with me, to tell you the truth. But I told some of my Jewish friends they were not okay with it at all. That's for sure. So.
Right. Now, correct me if I'm wrong, but most Jews believe that the figure Jesus was just a man. There was no miracles that ever performed through him, correct?
Yeah.
Okay,
Yes.
so when you experienced the figure Jesus in your experience, it was the ones that did the miracles and things. Can you explain a little bit more about the figure that you did see?
Well, like I said, at that time, it was just part of this loving energy. I mean, what I know now, so I've studied to develop whatever happened to me there, even, and learn to see things spiritually more clearly and know a lot of things. So, I mean, the prophets, all of them are in spirit helping us. They're not fighting over each other like, Jesus isn't saying only Christians, and
That's right.
Abraham isn't saying I'm only helping Jewish people. It's like, they're there and it's all good. So,
That's right.
I mean, that was my feeling. Again, there wasn't words or thoughts during my near-death experience. It was just a feeling that everything was good. There's harmony on earth. There's peace, that kind of thing. So.
Oh, wow. That must have been wonderful.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So what were some of your actual your Jewish friends' reactions when you share some of that with them?
One in particular who was a really good friend of mine, and I'm just kind of naive about things like that because I didn't quite realize it at the time, but not too long after I talked to him about it, his father came to me and started talking to me, and not too long after that, that guy wouldn't be my friend anymore, and that really, I was very sad about it because we were really good friends.
Yeah, yeah. We hear so many different stories, Laurence, when it comes to this phenomenon, things like that. That
Yeah.
even people who are supposed to be religious, spiritual people,
Yeah.
demonize it. They say that's and it seems to me that it's really who we really are as human beings. These things that you're experiencing, or these NDEers experience, that oneness, that connection with the all, the divine, the divinity that's within all of us. That's the beauty that I love about the NDEers
me
and things
too.
like that. And
Yeah.
I think we've all gotten away from that, as humans. So the beauty of that, when we talk to people like yourself and hear your stories and all, just really, it really just strengthens us, I guess, in a lot of ways to really to let us know, hey, this is just a drop in the bucket, man. There's so much more out there, and we're so much more, and we're so much. How would I say this? More a part of something so much bigger, for lack of words.
Yeah, it is. It is like being part of this. When people say, "Did you see this? Did you hear this? Did you know this?" It was more like being one with this, and I do have, it's taken, and I'm still in process of just how do you live this life with that, when that's there, and how do you integrate that, and be around people who don't get it, and it takes a lot of effort and strength and determination to be in that loving as much as you can, even to people who don't treat you that way. It's not easy sometimes.
Yeah.
You're so right. When we can realize that we are all one and that love is what is, then that raises the consciousness and helps us to let go of the fears and the separation that we are faced with.
Yeah. Yes. And it just, it's an ongoing project, let's put it that way. So when I'm working with people, I'm so tuned into it, and it seems almost easy to do. And then sometimes in my personal life, it's just not so easy.
A question here. From what I was, you had sent me a couple of links to look at, and don't you do energy work?
Yes. Yeah, I do healing and counseling work, yes.
Okay, so you do energy work and also healing. So with you in tune with those spiritual gifts now, can you also like read people's energies and feel them as well?
Yes.
Okay.
So, the purpose of what I do is the healing and spiritual unfoldment. So, a lot of times I get, the first time I work with someone, sometimes so much stuff is moving, I don't really get that much information because it's almost like this negative stuff is just leaving the person. And I don't want to slow it down, so I just let it go. And then if sometimes you need to get information to facilitate that to happen, because it's kind of like there's a door or a lock there and you need to open it. So then, yes, there are things I could see, things sometimes from someone's childhood, things in their unconscious, things from other lifetimes. But there also are these positive beings in spirit that come in and help. So there's millions and millions of them. So they come in. There's angels, there's the archangels, there is Jesus, sometimes Abraham, other prophets from other religions also. And then there are negative things in the spirit too that, like the devil and stuff like that are there that we can luckily the good wins out. So
Yes.
Yes. I like that. Yeah. There's so much, and especially these days, we see so much. I don't want to say just everything's bad, because there's good out there, but there's so much more. How do I say this? Darkness, for lack of words, from when we were kids growing up. I can remember not having to lock your doors at night, and you can, you can do this and do that with neighbors. Neighbors were neighbors. They did things for each other, with each other, and things like that. But most people these days don't even know who their neighbor is, and it's not hard. I don't know if it's just because of our communication has gotten more advanced and we can see more happen, and it's always been like this, or it's just, just a little off balance, off scale,
Well, there's a lot of good, and I think it's important to keep your eyes on that, but it's also important to do stuff to, where I live, it is kind of neighborhoody, so but I know that it's unique, so it's, there's an ice cream truck that comes around here, and sometimes I'm on a video with a friend of mine, he goes, "Oh, it's so nice to hear that, I haven't heard that in years."
Brings back memories from when we were kids, don't it?
Oh, yeah, that was such a big event every day, right?
Yes.
But it's important to do good, help people, be of service. And I don't think people necessarily have to go to church, but being spiritual, I think, is important. So meditation and journal writing are also very important.
Yeah, we hear a lot of our guests mention that have had near-death experiences, mention meditation to just connect with your higher self, to connect with the source, to just really clear your mind of all the clutter of the daily lives.
Yeah, and let in, an expression I heard is to fill up your spiritual gas tank. So, take time, because some days it's harder than others, but in general, living in the world uses that energy up. So you got to take time to fill fill your gas tank.
I love that analogy. You don't mind if we adopt that, huh, man?
No, definitely not.
I love that.
I mean,
love
I
that.
heard I've heard it along the way, so I didn't make it up. So you can use it. Definitely.
Okay, sounds good. Well, there's plenty of listeners, so we'll just pass it on, my man. That sounds good. So what have you, Laurence? What have you learned from all this? As far as the big picture, like life and the afterlife, maybe I should have been more specific. Yes, sir. What have you gotten, from your experience in life about life and the afterlife?
Well, I would say, sometimes people ask me if I'm afraid of dying, and I'm not. So it's the phrase I've been saying lately is the afterlife is like a party because it's just so light and nice.
Yeah.
In life, I think it is keep your eye on God, keep your eye on love, the good inside of you, and, help people. And it doesn't mean if there's some pretty negative things going out there, it doesn't mean go in where there's gun shooting and, pray. It means just take care of yourself. But, try to see the good in people, but also take care of yourself. That's really important.
Yes, sir. I like the way you said that. Now, what about, now you had mentioned meditation earlier. Do you get to practice often?
Oh, yeah, every day.
So do you have some tips that maybe you can share with the listeners who may be interested in maybe because, a lot of people ask about that. And a lot of people would like to get into that. So anything you'd like to share, we'd appreciate it.
Probably the biggest thing is you don't have to do it perfectly. You don't have to get your mind to be totally quiet. I've been meditating, there's some days here and there I miss, but most days for many years. And some days it's just hard to sit there, But I do it, and it seems to help fill up my gas tank. I have on my YouTube channel, the Basic Soul Meditation is the meditation that I do every day that I really encourage people to do. But you don't have to sit with your legs crossed. Being comfortable is important. Have your body supported because sometimes people fall asleep, so you don't want to be falling over, but sitting in a comfortable chair. I actually mostly lie down on my couch when I meditate and be gentle and loving with myself. Some days it's, I get right there and I'm in the zone. Some days it takes a bit longer, but sometimes I do have the experience where I don't really feel like I'm getting my mind focused or quiet at all. And then all of a sudden it shifts and this energy comes in. So I know somewhere inside of me I was doing it. I just wasn't aware of it.
Wow.
Oh, that's really good. Now, I have a question about your out-of-body experience. When you said that you came out of your body. You could see your physical body laying battered and broken looking. So you said that you were in the darkness, but you were in the light.
Right. No, so I don't remember leaving my body. I just all of a sudden just after leaving that house, the next thing I remembered was I was out of my body. Where I was out of my body floating up there, it was all white all around me. It just where my physical body was and the car was, it was nighttime and dark.
Okay. Yeah. I was just trying to get some clarity on that. Thank you.
Yeah, we hear that a lot of stories, the accidents. They say that, before something happens, that spirit, soul, that person, that being is totally, ejected from the situation and they don't feel the pain, and that is actually a gift from the Creator. That's what I'm just kind of saying how it was, told to us before like that. I'm like, that's pretty interesting like that. It does make sense, It is a loving thing because, to be there in the physical part, humans can go through some torturous, deaths, so that would be a loving thing to do that, but
it's like you don't have to do that.
Yeah.
Like I said, I don't remember that part at all. I mean, it just, overall, it left a very nice impression on me. That's for sure.
That's awesome. That's awesome. Well, are there any words or any words of wisdom, from your life experience, Mr. Laurence, that you would like to maybe leave with all the listeners, like some anything you'd like to share concerning, like the things we're talking about and life and afterlife and things like that?
Yeah, I think, besides looking for the good in other people, it's really possibly more important to look for the good inside yourself, because we're, the kind of people we're talking about tend to look at other people in a nicer light than themselves. But there's something good in everybody. There's something that everyone has spiritual gifts through their, whatever their positive qualities and attributes are, and to look at those and acknowledge them. Sometimes I see people, I get to work with some really successful people, and they're really nice, but they beat up on themselves, and they don't really, some of the people I work with have done such amazing things, and you talk to them about it, they don't get it. If they were to look at someone else, they would see how amazing that person is, but they don't see how amazing they are.
Right.
And I think that is how God looks at us, that we're amazing. And I think it's, sometimes I joke around saying it's pretty arrogant when you're not looking at God's gifts inside of you as a gift.
Yeah.
Like, who are you to think you know more than God or more than Jesus?
Right. We're our own worst critics here.
Yeah. But so look for the good things about yourself, the little things. If you have a kid, there's so many things, and, there's so many, most of the people we're talking about that are interested in this are doing good things. And it's really important to recognize that. Like I said, meditation, be gentle with yourself in it, and just sit there for time with you and your source, with God, whoever that is for you, and spend some time each day. Even if, I know, like I said, some days for me, it's like, I want to look at my phone every second. I'm thinking about what I got to get at the grocery store or whatever. And some days it's, it is like, this is the greatest thing. But still, you're taking that time taking that time for your spiritual purpose, that spiritual inside of you, spirit outside of you. And journal writing is really a great thing. That people probably resist that even more than meditating. But It is something that it's pretty simple to do once you get in the habit, but can be really, really helpful.
So any tips on that you'd like to share with us?
It just kind of sit down and start doing it. If people are interested, if they contact me, I have an outline for journal writing. You just got to start doing it. So I understand the resistance, because I knew for many years before I did it, but something happened. Again, things just kind of happen and you open up to it. But I'd been typing with 2 fingers for years and years. And when my daughter, at the end of 4th grade, her teacher said she should learn how to type, the right way. And so I got an app on my laptop to learn how to type, hoping I would inspire my daughter to do that. But she did not. But every day over the summer, I practiced typing. And at the end of the summer, I was in the habit of sitting down every day. And I thought, I'm liking this. This is just like journal writing. So I started journal writing. And that was, my daughter's 20 years old now. So it's many years ago. I've been doing it every day.
Wow.
But you just got to try it, and be gentle. You don't have to do it perfectly. Even writing, if you write down like 2 or 3 things you're grateful for every day, even that would be, that really helps a lot.
I love how you said that. Kind of like we call the attitude of gratitude,
Yeah.
And I like that. If we can focus more on the good, more the positive, more the things to be grateful for, it really does affect you as a person. Your outlook on life and your spirit, your being, and all. Yeah.
Yeah. So there's part of us that's kind of designed to notice the negative. It's kind of a safety mechanism. So it takes work to, you get in the habit of whining and complaining. You got to get in the habit of being grateful.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's right. It's all habitual. I believe that.
Yeah, a lot of it is kind of cool.
Yeah. With your journaling and everything, do you ever, you had mentioned light beings and different entities earlier. Do you ever channel while you're journaling?
Or even meditating.
Yeah.
Well, yes, they come in to, well, it's a little different. So I don't really like the word channeling, but the beings come in to help when I'm working with people, and they come in and help me when I'm meditating, when I'm journal writing too. Yes.
That's awesome. Yeah.
But it's different because they're there to help me. That's focused on me. When I'm working, it's focused on me. The clients.
That is good to hear. So some people say the channeling, and what word do you like to use for that? For their
I sometimes use the word being a vessel, but yes. The energy, the healing energy comes through my body. The beings normally are just around, so they're not really coming through me.
Right.
They're working directly with the person. Right. But everyone, all the time, there are many, many angels and other beings in spirit helping you, even if you don't know it, all the time.
Yes, we've even heard from some of our guests that, our angels are there to assist us and our guides, and they don't always step in unless it's life-threatening, that they like to be invited in, that they like to be asked for help.
They do, and they're there helping us in a little bit different way all the time, even when we're not asking. So it's kind of like they're creating a harmony with us. And see, as soon as I say that, I tune into it. It's like, oh, that feels so nice.
That's beautiful. Wow.
That's wild.
It's there. It helps to ask, and because the purely good things they're not supposed to impose on us or impose on our consciousness. So
that's
it's
awesome.
Definitely good to ask, and it helps our awareness. But do that. Pray. Praying works. That's the thing. So even if you don't feel it, and there's ways to help tune in and to develop those skills. Anyone can do it to one extent or another.
Yeah.
So you've been working with the healing and the energies since your accident, correct? Can you share with us some of the most memorable moments through any of your experiences? Yeah.
There's so many, a big variety of things, because sometimes people get healed physically, and it's still mind-blowing to me, to tell you the truth. So I have an appointment with someone this week, and this is their third appointment. And I think they're from like Wyoming, or there's Idaho, or somewhere over in that part of the country. And but so they had a session with me, and sometimes when I'm working, the energy comes in and it's like a color. So this person had a lot of yellow energy around them. Okay. That I particularly like the yellow energy. And the session went well, and I knew the person felt really uplifted. And then I don't know how long after, but she sent me this text saying the energy shifted and I'm walking, and I haven't been able to walk in 8 years. And
wow.
It's amazing. And I was like a little suspicious because it seemed so not specific.
Yeah.
So I didn't reach out to her, but then a few days later, she sent me this very long description. And basically she was pretty much homebound and could, kind of barely get around to her apartment. And now she was out and about. She was using 2 canes, but she was also able to go to the supermarket and, walk, needing to hold on to the shopping cart. And that was a really cool thing. So she's had one other session. She actually made another appointment for Tuesday. But a lot, there's, there's so many. The ones that really stand out for me are ones that I learned, because it is like this thing happened to me and I've learned to develop it, but it's also, I'm reluctant to believe it in a certain way, or I have been. Now I know it, but it really had to happen. These big things happen so I could learn that God is great, really. And when you open that up and the spirit comes in whatever form that is, like, people just get better. So it's really, right. It is great. Yeah.
So would you say that the physical ailments are healing through the energy work that you're doing?
Yes, and so part of the answer to your question is there are all these different levels, and but sometimes things that are purely physical just get fixed. When things change in spirit, they just change. And then there's some, I mean, that's something that happened like in one session. And there's a lot of those, a lot of times though, it takes more than one session. I mean, one of the biggest awarenesses for me was this was someone who came to me in person, and they had a woman who had a miscarriage, and what the complications that she experienced were her health was suffering that. And her friend kind of forced her to come see me because she didn't really believe in what I do. And when I saw her, I had a strong feeling right away I could help her. And basically the doctor said, forget about ever having a kid, and we're worried about saving you at this point. After 2 sessions, she sent me an email saying, I don't know what you do, but the doctors say I'm getting better. And then she had one more session with me. And then I found out a while later from her friend that forced her to come see me that she was pregnant. And then I found out she had a baby boy.
Oh, wonderful.
Right. It's amazing, right? But when I'm doing it, it all seems so normal. And the time it really was like a wake up for me was after that. And I had started posting things on Facebook, and it was a little before Thanksgiving. So I was looking through my emails to look for things to remind me to be grateful for, and looking for things to post. And I came across her email, and I looked at it and go, wow, that is really amazing. Where I was able to look at it in a way, I don't know, it just was really like I really understood in a much bigger way what I do and what my gift is. And it was just really like, wow, that's really cool, basically.
Wow. Now, you had mentioned earlier within context here about the yellow, or you were mentioning earlier the energy. Now, do people have these colors, or do the colors change accordingly, like maybe moods or energy changes, or do they all change, or do people carry a certain color all the time? Like that person is a blue aura and that person is a green aura, or is it, just changes, if you're aware of that you're aware of.
So there are different things, but this color I was talking about is kind of a color. There's actually things that are kind of like angels that work with the colors, and there's healing energy that are colors. So this yellow color is something that comes in.
Okay.
I mean, more times than not, it's purple. Sometimes it's green, and sometimes yellow. Sometimes it's orange or pink too. So
what would you say was predominantly the color?
Purple seems to be the most of what people see. Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah, one time I was working, it was some years ago, this woman who had leukemia, and she called me, and I happened to be in one of the local malls at the time, and she was just kind of panicking, and I said, and I kind of went off in the corner, and so I say a little prayer in the beginning, and I did that, and she said, whoa, my room filled up with purple light, and, I didn't say it to her, but right at the same time, the whole mall filled up with purple light. Ooh. And so that was really cool. And then the purple is for spiritual transforming and transmutation. So she just started to feel a whole lot better. The thing that I noticed, it seemed at the time that mall was going to be going out of business soon. And like within 10 minutes, it just seemed like the mall was crowded. And I wished I had some way to check that, because I don't know. It was very interesting.
Yeah.
For sure.
Yeah. With y'all talking about the different colors of the energies and everything is really reminding me, you may have read it, The Journey of Souls book by Dr. Michael Newton. Have you read that?
I've heard of it. I never read it though.
Because the higher advanced the soul is maturity wise, the more colors, like the purples and the darker hues. So I thought that was very interesting with the healing process that you're talking about, is those brighter, the purples and stuff. So that's very interesting.
It's really cool. Another kind of story was, there was my client was in his early 20s, and he had some problems with his liver. And I knew his father, but his father wanted to come. So his father was paying, and he wanted to come to one of the sessions. I think he was suspicious of it, I guess, in a certain way. But so he wanted to, But he came in and he sat, so I did a session with him. And as soon as I said the prayer in the beginning, the room filled up with green light.
Wow.
And he saw it, which I was very surprised. He goes, "What happened?" Everything just turned green.
Wow.
So I tried to explain it to him. And he was an engineer, so a very practical guy. So he spent time looking around the room, and there were big glass windows there, and there were trees, and the light was coming through, but that was only in part of the room. And then after a while, he said, "I don't know what it is, and I don't know what you do, but I feel so good." And he left, and it was kind of cool that he saw that, even though he didn't really necessarily believe in what I was doing. It's kind of cool.
I gotcha. Now, is this kind of like maybe a different name because it's maybe for the same thing that we call like Reiki or Chi or things like that? Is it pretty much that same typing into that source?
Chi is just generally energy in your body. So
Okay.
That's Reiki. It's kind of similar to what I do. Even when I work on video, I hold my hands up and I feel the energy in my hands. But I've tried Reiki a few times. I never really liked it. So it's kind of similar, but I think it's different also.
Ah,
Okay.
gotcha.
Now, you kind of just answered a question that I was going to ask. You said hold through the phone. So do you do long distance healing as well? I'm taking it.
Yes, that's what I mostly do these days. There's only one person I see in person, and they live about an hour from me, and they pay me for my day to drive there and treat them. So
Oh, wow.
I'm willing to see people in person, but usually it's better not to tell you the truth. For most things people come to me for.
Gotcha.
Yeah, and it works wherever you're at, regardless, because it's universal,
It is, and it seems extra cool when someone's on the other side of the planet, and they get it. I like the cool sci-fi aspect of it.
Yeah, definitely.
Yes, sir, absolutely. Well, beautiful, Mr. Laurence. Well, I'm kind of looking at the clock here. Man, you've got some really awesome stuff you're sharing here with us. Is there anything in general that you'd like to maybe share before we kind of start kind of closing in with some of our kind of ending questions here?
Well, first of all, God loves us all, and that loving is there. And but meditating and journal writing and looking for the good in yourself and then in the good in other people is really what the spiritual process is about. And it's not always easy. Some days, even being grateful, some days when I'm writing that down, it's like I have to really go to, I'm grateful I have a house. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's hard to find things because I'm not, some days the world just doesn't seem to be like a kind place, but you can work it a little bit and, just be gentle with yourself in the process. I would say that.
I like that. Now, do you have any websites, emails, contact information that you would like to leave, or?
Of course, yeah. My website is laurencebrock.com. My YouTube is Dr. Laurence Brock. My phone number or WhatsApp for texting is 732-567-6388. I recently published a book that's on Amazon, and soon my story about my near-death experience will come out in a book.
Awesome.
The book that came out now is called An Air of Well-Being. It's a breathing technique that I find very helpful.
An air? Say that for me one more time, please.
An air of well-being.
I like that.
People want like an air of confidence kind of thing.
Uh-huh.
So but it's an air of well-being. So it is, it is a great technique. And if you, I suggest it for anybody because it really changes the way it gets people back to breathing the way we're naturally supposed to breathe and gets a lot more oxygen in your body and helps your body heal a lot.
That's great to hear. So the book that you're going to be sharing your near-death experience, when are you expecting to have it ready?
That's a good question. I think it's all written. I just need to go through it and tweak it a bit and then have someone who's like a professional editor go through it. So I would say in a month or so.
Okay. Well, good. Well, we look forward to that. So what's the name of that book going to be?
I'm not really sure because
Okay.
it
Okay.
might be From Near Death to Healer. But I mean, one of the names I was playing around with, and maybe this will be underneath it, is Stumbling, Fumbling, and Bumbling into the Heart of God.
Hey,
Oh, nice.
sketchy.
Yes.
That's what it feels like. But you got to stick with it, and you don't have to be perfect. That's for sure.
That's right, brother. I like how you
Right.
say that. Awesome, awesome. Well, Mr. Laurence, you're a beautiful soul, my man. I appreciate you so much for your time and your
Thank
energy and
you.
your
I
stories,
appreciate you guys too. Yeah.
and looking forward to getting all this stuff edited and all. And Daphne, she keeps up with all the communicating, and also she'll keep you posted with the the updates on the links and things like that. When we get it all done, we'll get those links
Send
to
you
you.
a link too.
Yeah, please do. That'll be great. Thanks.
Yeah.
Awesome, awesome. Well, Miss Daphne, you have any final words, or for this kind gentleman, should I say?
Yeah. So you have had a life just filled with lots of energy, healing, and everything. For those out there that are just tuning in to their own healing abilities, do you have words of advice for them for that?
Well, the thing of you don't have to do it perfectly. So many times I encourage people to meditate, and I say, don't, you sit there. Some days your mind just doesn't shut up, and that's okay. So be gentle with yourself. Try to meditate, even just a few minutes a day. You're just taking time for that thing inside you and for God, and just do that. And the journal writing too, but the being gentle and kind to yourself is, we're just people, we're not purely spiritual. We're humans that have a lot of mistakes and stuff like that. So just be really gentle with the process. But meditating, even for a few minutes per day, even if you take a time, whatever kind of meditation it is, you could be chanting, you could be focusing on your breathing, you could be just listening to the sounds around you. Any of those things are good to do.
Awesome. Words of
Thank you,
wisdom.
yeah.
Well, beautiful, beautiful. Well, Mr. Laurence, if
Thank
there's
you.
anything left, if not, we've got it pretty much covered, my man. I think we'll let
Yeah,
you get
that's
back
good.
to your schedule there, and we wish you peace and blessings in your life, and until next time, we'll either meet again on the other side, or another conversation, or just another whatever, because life goes
Yeah,
on.
I'm
It rolls
open to,
on.
I love to do this. So anytime you want, just reach out. That'd be great.
Awesome, my man. Well, we sure appreciate you, my brother. You have yourself an awesome evening, and you take care of yourself, okay?
Thank you. Same to you.
All
Thank
right.
you.
Thank
Have
you
a
so
great
much.
evening.
Wow, there you go. Mr. Laurence himself. What do you think about that, Daphne? It's amazing.
Amazing. I love, love, love the fact that his natural spiritual gifts were awakened through his experience. And from what I understand, all of us, each individual that we are, we all have these gifts. So it's amazing that when you can really tune into them and train them and develop them, what you can do to help others in this world.
I know.
And he is doing that. He does long distance healing, and that is amazing. That the light beings and the oneness of everything that he talked about. I absolutely love it.
The different colors of the different
Yes.
energies and spirits and things like that.
Yes, yes, yes.
That is amazing. Yeah, and you can get more information on him. Well, I know he had quoted his contact information earlier, but if you don't mind,
Yes.
before we close, go ahead and maybe share that with the listeners.
Yes, his website is laurencebrock.com, and it's LaurenceBrock.com. And his WhatsApp phone number is 732-567-6388, and he has a book out there, An Air of Well-Being, that it helps us to get back to breathing naturally, that helps us with our bodies and everything. I really want to look into getting that one, by the way. And a book coming out very soon about his NDE experience.
Absolutely. And maybe Mr. Laurence, when you get that done, let us know. We'd be glad to put it on the website. And we have plenty of books on there from many of our guests, things like that. So, well, one of the main things I picked up from it, Daphne, and we can close on this because this is so much, for all of us, this information, what I'm fixing to quote, but Laurence said it so much, and it really makes so much sense. But I love the way he said it. But he kept talking about like looking for the good
in yourself.
Yes. And in others, but mainly look at yourself because there is something good in everyone, and you are a part of that everyone. So
exactly,
I thought that was beautiful.
And we are our own worst critics. We need to, quit being so critical of ourselves and be more loving of ourselves, because we can
And
be
others.
loving with others so much easier. To give ourselves the love that we need as well. So he's encouraging that, and we do here as well. Yes.
Yeah. So, well, beautiful, beautiful. Well, we're going to go ahead and wrap things up. Don't forget to go to the website, guys, NDE.world for more information on who we are and what we do. And we'll see you guys over there. And until then, may peace be with you all. We love you all so much. Until next time.
Y'all let your light shine.
Hello, you beautiful souls. Don't forget to visit the website, NDE.world. That is
NDE.world.